John Garcia, hope all is well, man. Welcome into the game in T-Town.
All is well, Ryan. Eventful day, as it always seems to be around that way.
John, has this now become National Signing Day?
Yes, 100%. I mean, it's not ever going to be the 100% every single kid signs type of signing day, but in terms of the hoopla, the build-up, the personal fatigue, things like that, yes, this, for all intents and purposes, has replaced the February signing day. But the beauty of it is that we get this, and then we get a break, we get the holiday and all that, and then it will ramp up again for a select few, and the Blue Bloods will always be after those guys as well. So it'll be a mini signing day in February going forward. But this trend of kids signing early, I would imagine, will be pretty sustainable. It was about 70% last year, and I haven't done the numbers, but I'm sure it's a higher number this year, 75%, maybe more, of these kids just ending the process today and getting it over with.
John, how would you describe this Alabama class as you look at top to bottom, maybe the highlights of things that jump out to you about this signing class here in Tuscaloosa?
Addressing need, and that's what it's all about. You're going to have some standard situations with Alabama recruiting. There's always going to be an attempt to grab a lot of linemen. There's always going to be an attempt to grab a lot of defensive backs. But when you look at what Alabama's potentially losing, and I think for this class it starts on the D-line, bringing in, a half dozen guys and locking them in, all but one, I believe, today, really important for this team. I think going into the day, you knew you were going to secure five-star Antonio Alfano, but there were some question marks with Justin Eboigbe, and those guys arguably the top two D linemen in the class, both 6'5", 275 type guys who are probably going to be inside guys, which is where you see some vulnerability going forward with Alabama. So locking them in, I thought, was really important for Alabama. DJ Dale already enrolled, et cetera. And then, of course, at the end, the close, which is what Nick Saban is known for, you're going to get that as well. They didn't hit on every target, but when you talk about having early commitments from five-star guys like Evan Neal and Trey Sanders, and going, in Neal's case, years of through a decommitment, and in Trey's case, 11-plus months of a decommitment, and getting those guys back, I think says as much about the elite power of Nick Saban and Alabama recruiting as anything else in this group. It's hard to get guys recommitted. There's not a lot of guys on that roster right now that were once committed, backed off, and then ended up in the class. There's probably less than 10. So to get two of the five-star variety at the most watched high school in America against other Blue Bloods, all of those things I think is ultra impressive for Nick and Alabama, and that's what kind of today was for. Today was for the close. You flipped some prospects as well. So it was kind of a classic Alabama class, but needs addressed and still that uncanny ability to close and take advantage of other situations. So in other words, Bama being Bama.
John, let's start with Evan Neal there just for a couple of minutes. What do you see him primarily playing? I mean, he kind of reminds you of one of those dominant tackles that's been in Tuscaloosa. Is that where you see him? What do you see him projecting as in the college level?
A year ago, Ryan, and certainly when Evan was committed to Alabama as a 14, 15-year-old, none of us thought he would have the ability to move like a tackle. We defaulted him to guard. He was 400 pounds and just a mauler. But, man, what a transformation with this kid. 6'7", now about 350, 360, and an alpha in every sense of the phrase. He's going to come in and not be physically outmatched at Alabama, which is really, understated. That's hard to do. No disrespect to Pierce Quick, but those practices probably aren't the funnest of his life right now. I don't think it will be the same for Evan Neal. So he's an alpha physically. He's put in the work to turn everything around and hit the next level. And that's part of the reason why he picked Alabama. He thinks that's the program that will take him, to the NFL, which is his very public ultimate goal. But I do think he is a tackle. He has put in the work to shed the weight and prove that he can keep it down. One thing to lose it, it's a whole other thing to keep it. So that makes him mentally tough, mentally disciplined, which are just a lot of kind of classic Alabama traits. And no surprise when he picks Alabama, he's frowning and he's serious and he puts on the hat and he says Roll Tide, and that's kind of it. That's who Evan Neal is. He's a leader by example kind of guy, but just physically as impressive as anybody in this class.
John, Trey Sanders, you also had a chance to talk with today, and I know they're still waiting on the national letter of intent. That has not arrived. At least the university has not confirmed that it's arrived. That's the one that they're waiting on. They did get Niels in, but let's talk about Trey Sanders. What does this young man bring, or what will he bring to Alabama?
Well, he's the number one running back in the class, and he has a lot of the classic, elements of that Alabama running back that we've long come to think when we think of a Nick Saban running back. 6 foot, 215 pounds, runs well downhill behind his pads, a balanced guy, can help you in the passing game, which is what you want to see in 2018. That 3-down ability, a great returner. So you're talking about vision, the ability to set up blocks, kind of the total package at the running back position. Mature and ultra confident. I mean, even if you knew nothing of Trey Sanders and you watched him pick Alabama today, I mean, he's mentioning the Heisman Trophy for next year. Obviously, that is as ambitious as it gets, but I like that. If I'm an Alabama fan, I really like that. You want that's the mentality to come in and compete. That is a Najee Harris mentality. That is an alphas type of mentality, and that's who Trey is immensely, and then physically, just again all of the traits that you look for in a classic Bama running back, but with some tweaks. And he's come a long way physically as well. He was a little heavier himself, but really refocused his game as a senior, took it to the next level, and wanted to prove that he could be a 3-down back. That's actually the first interview I did with him this year. That's the first thing he told me. I want to play all 3 downs now and at the next level, and that's what I'm out to prove my senior year. He did that in Alabama, despite suffering through his decommitment on New Year's Day, stuck with him and obviously won out in the end over Georgia.
We continue to talk with John Garcia, national recruiting analyst, covers the University of Alabama and all of the SEC and as the world of recruiting. John, I've asked you this before, but now since it's official, is this Nick Saban's best class?
Well, it's to be determined. I think there's still some big fish out there that are going to be February guys. But as it stands now, the fact that it's in the conversation while being incomplete is very impressive. I think there's a couple of groups that really stand out. If you go by the numbers, the 2014 group is still the best. If you go by the look test and what we have already seen, that 2017 group, Tua, Najee, Leatherwood, Judy, those guys they're going to be tough to beat. Dylan Moses in that group. That's going to be a hard one to beat when all is said and done. I think when the playoff is over this year, potentially, that one may have clinched it. But if you hold on to these guys, you get Trey's letter, and you close with another 5-star or 2, which Bama could be in position for. Ishmael Sopsher out of Louisiana is going to decide on February 6th. He's a prime target. There's a couple of other elite guys still out there. That would then get into the numbers, by the statistics conversation. And I think Alabama's got a good shot. And when it comes to Trey, I expect that letter to come in. He's back at his hometown in Port St. Joe up in the Panhandle and wanted to enjoy, the friends and the community, all of that. And he told us he was going to sign later today. Didn't expect it this late, but he did say later today. And you do that, you secure him, and you get Ishmael Sopsher. Now on paper, you're right there with that 2014 group. So again, you wonder when it's going to slow down, and some national writers may jump the gun every now and then with it, at least on the field or in recruiting. But man, every year here we are talking about where does this class rank among the best. It's not even a question of whether or not it's a number one class, despite last year when we didn't expect that because of the numbers and a couple of other things.
John Garcia, we always appreciate you for being a part of the show. Let me talk about Crimson and Blue Chips podcast, man. You guys are obviously rocking and rolling there. Add some more to that and talk about it, because you guys, I mean, even though we're only able to talk about 10 minutes, man, there's a lot more to talk about with this number one signing class. Talk about how you'll be connected with the fans and in the coming days, recapping the way that Nick Saban locked up this class?
Yeah, definitely be Crimson and Blue Chips, the YouTube channel. I'm sure there'll be some kind of live show with the crew over there tonight. I'll probably chime in from the road as I'm doing here now. Those guys are having a good time keeping up with all of the Alabama news and really bringing it from a fan's perspective, kind of a 360-degree look at Alabama football and recruiting. Absolutely. They're going to kill it. They're going to kill it, and I'm going to hope to join them later on. So I appreciate the shout for those guys. They work hard, and they love ball. So if you want to hang out, check out Crimson and Blue Chips on YouTube.
And it's 247 Sports, BamaOnline.com. College football recruiting analyst, the go-to guy here on the game, and has been for many, many years. John, I always appreciate the conversations, but I know it's been a very, very busy day. We appreciate you taking a couple of minutes out of your day. Merry Christmas from all of us here in T-Town.
Likewise, my brother. We'll see you soon.
All right, thank you, John. Have a good one, man.